I got type 2 diabetes. I'm pre-diabetic, whatever, right? I got issues. Can I have the booze? I'll be honest with you. This isn't something I looked at. Why? Because when I got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, I don't drink. So I didn't really look at it. It wasn't something that affected me. So I was like, I don't know. And like through most of the stuff that I do on this podcast, I met someone and was talking about diabetes, and they were drinking. I was like, I said, can you really? There's a type 1 diabetic. I said, you can have alcohol. And they were like, yeah, certain kinds. I just have to be careful and I have to plan for it ahead of time. And I have type 2 diabetes, or I'm insulin resistant now. I'm a type 2 diabetes in remission. I don't know. My A1C is 5.2. I'm doing really good right now. But alcohol was not something that I looked at because it didn't affect me, right? It's not like I don't care or anything, but it didn't affect me. So I thought, why not take a look at and see whether or not, if you have type 2 diabetes, can you be drinking alcohol? The answer is yes. You're welcome. But it's not just yes. It's yes as long as you're picking the right alcohol. And actually, through some of the research I did, some people suggest that maybe drinking a little bit of alcohol is actually good for your insulin resistance. Quick recap: insulin resistance is your body's inability to process carbs. The better your insulin resistance, the less chance you have of developing type 2 diabetes. And even when you eat carbs, your body will take care of it. And so it keeps your blood sugar levels low. I think I did a whole podcast on insulin resistance. If you don't know what that is, you should go watch or listen to that one, because it turned out pretty good. And it's really important to understand how your body's working if you're going to affect how your body's working. You got to kind of understand how the engine works if you're going to make any changes. That makes sense? Okay. Alcohol. Alcohol consumption can influence insulin resistance in several ways. Moderate alcohol intake has been linked to improved insulin sensitivity and lower fasting insulin levels, particularly in women. Okay, so that's good, right? However, there's always a however. Excess alcohol consumption can disrupt insulin function, making it harder for glucose to enter cells, which is the definition of insulin resistance, which can contribute to insulin resistance, even though it's already the definition of it. All right. So the fact of the matter is that you can have some alcohol. Moderate. Now, everyone's definition of moderate might be a little bit different, right? For you, that might be like, so I can have my bottle of wine every day. For other people, it might be your little, I have a little two finger, right? Did you know that a two finger? I never knew what that was. Can you give me two fingers or something that's like this much in a glass? I didn't know. I was like, I always thought, no, it's this way. It's just two fingers side by side. That's what two fingers is. But anyway, so moderate alcohol intake, and that's going to change per person. Some people have a half a glass of wine and they are sauced, right? Some people can drink quite a bit. I'm not talking about my wife, and still be very functional. So it doesn't have anything to do with how inebriated you are. It has to do the ability, how do you process it? So if you're using a CGM, a continuous glucose monitor, and you decide to have a glass of alcohol, you can see, how that affects you, right? If you don't have one of those, you're kind of just guessing. But at any rate, 6 key points on how alcohol affects insulin resistance. Let's go. And some suggestions, right? We're coming up with those. So you're like, hey, just get to what I can drink. I know. Moderation versus excess. Moderate alcohol consumption may improve insulin sensitivity, but excessive drinking can disrupt insulin function and contribute to insulin resistance. So you're not going to be a binge drinker and a diabetic and be successful. It's not going to happen, right? It isn't like, hey, you know what? I haven't drank for a month, so now I can go have all this alcohol. Like, I'm just going to go for it for, Friday night, I'm getting stupid. That's going to affect you negatively. Moderate means you can have, like, if you're out at a function and you want to have a beer or a glass of wine or whatever. Okay. Yeah, you can. Just keep it moderate. Liver function impact. Alcohol affects the liver. Everyone knows that. Your liver processes it, right? Now, The liver plays a crucial role in regulating blood sugar. So chronic alcohol use can lead to liver damage, worsening insulin resistance. There's a whole bunch of different factors that work together, and that could be one of them. Blood sugar spikes and drops. Now, alcohol can cause fluctuation in blood sugar levels, leading to sudden spikes and drops, which can be dangerous. Obviously, you don't want to be too high or too low. We're shooting for the middle on everything, but it will do that. Weight gain and fat storage. Here we go. Alcohol beverages can be high in calories, as you know, which can lead to weight gain, as you know, particularly in the gut, as you already know. And that kind of fat accumulation is linked to insulin resistance. Where you carry your fat in your body actually changes how insulin resistant you are. The belly area, right, can lead to more insulin resistance than if you have, like, if it's in your arms or something like that. So, any rate, that's something to think about. Inflammation increase. Too much alcohol can trigger inflammation in the body, which can be a key driver of insulin resistance and metabolic disorders. Or at some point you could just be like, you know what, I have diabetes, I don't drink. But I get you, right? But these are just things that can cause it. There are a lot of different factors when it comes to insulin resistance. Your body's amazing. It's very complicated. Nutrient deficiencies, heavy drinking can deplete essential nutrients like B vitamins. That's an issue. Magnesium, issue. Zinc, issue. Those are important to insulin function and glucose metabolism. So B vitamins, magnesium, and zinc. When you drink too much, it can strip your body of those. And again, we're going back to it not being a good thing. But you can still drink. I know this is a bummer episode. You were clicking on this hoping that I would just say, knock yourself out, man. You good. But we just have to, with everything, we're complicated. That's my doctor says you're in really good shape, but you're just a little complicated and weird. I'm like, that's awesome. Thanks, doc. So here are the worst drinks for diabetics. These should be very obvious to you, but we're still going to go through it and then I'm going to give you the best drinks for diabetes and something that I found personally myself, because I have a CGM, continuous glucose monitor, and I know what beers work for me, but we'll get to that in a minute. Sugary cocktails are the worst. Margaritas are the worst. Pina coladas are the worst. Daiquiris are the worst. I know they're fun, right? They're loaded with sugar. It's like drinking real pop, and worse, as you keep drinking them, you get drunk, and so you just keep drinking more. You're not making good decisions, right? So a pitcher of margaritas is not going to happen. It shouldn't happen. Those are the worst. That's the truth. So margaritas, pina coladas, daiquiris, rum and cokes with real Coke, anything that has sugar, you gotta stay away from. Should be obvious, but it's the truth. Sweet wines. So dessert wines. Wines are, if you know anything about wine, which I don't, there's dessert wines like port, Moscato tend to have high sugar content, making them less ideal for blood sugar control and it's just basically from the sugar, and you're consuming it, right? You're downing a glass of wine, and your body is like, whoa. It's not like you're eating a salad, like if you eat something that's a little bit higher in carbs, but you also have a salad with it. Like, you're just consuming it, and it's getting into your bloodstream. Like, bam, here we go. Flavored liqueurs. So there's a lot of different. I quit drinking like 2009 or something like that. So the alcohol has changed completely since I quit drinking. But flavored vodkas, rums, and whiskeys, that's really popular. But a lot of those contain added sugars. That's how they get the flavor. It's syrup. They're just adding syrup to your alcohol, right? There isn't naturally occurring lime flavored vodka or honey flavored whiskey or what. There's a ton of different ones, but usually they just add the syrup in there, and the syrup is sugar. And so that's just not good. You're just adding in the sugar, and you're going to have an issue with that. Regular beer. So light beer is a better option. It has less carbs. Regular beer contains more carbohydrates, which can raise blood sugar. There are some exceptions to that, which I'm going to get to here in a minute. Now, you're like, well, you don't drink. I drink NA beer, non-alcoholic beer, sometimes, not often. I have none in this house. I had one last night, we were out to dinner and I had a non-alcoholic beer. And that was the first one I'd had in 3 months. So it's not like it's not like I can keep drinking beer as long as it's non-alcoholic. No, you can every now and then. I'll tell you which ones work best for me in a minute, but those are really bad. Cream-based liqueurs. You're not putting any Baileys in your coffee. I'm sorry. Bailey's Irish Cream, Kahlua. Oh man, I remember that stuff. That was, I mean, it's delicious, but sugar and dairy, and they're high in carbs and fat, and they should be avoided for sure if you have type 2 diabetes or insulin resistance or pre-diabetes or type 1 diabetes. Mixed drinks with soda or juice are out, right? Cocktails made with regular soda, no. Tonic water. Did you know tonic water has ridiculous amount of sugar in it? It does. It's really sugary. Doesn't taste sugary, but it is. Diet tonic water, much better. I really like the taste of diet tonic water, but regular tonic, gin and tonic, sugar, tons. And fruit juice, obviously, is packed with sugar. Okay, so that was bad news. I'm sorry. Have I had good news? I think some. You can still drink, but here we go. Best drinks for diabetics. So if you have type 2 diabetes and you want to enjoy an alcoholic drink, best to choose options that are lower in sugar and carbohydrates to help maintain stable blood sugar levels. Here are some good choices. And remember it in moderation, right? Binge drinking, which by the way, if you're going binge drinking, you're going to eat like crazy, right? You're not going to make any good choices. Nah, you're going to be eating. Give me that cake. Give me everything, right? Okay. But in moderation, if you're a social drinker and you want to have some alcohol, here are the best choices, right? All right, dry wines. Red and white wines tend to be dry. Red and white wines tend to be lower in sugar, especially dry varieties. Red wine may also offer health benefits. There's some research that says that having some, a Merlot or something super, super dry can be heart healthy. I can't remember what the thing was. I don't drink, so I don't do a lot of research on it. But I know that, dry wines are good. So if you like sweet wines, those are not going to be good. Drier, the better. I'm sure there's a million out there. Light beers. Some light beers have fewer carbs than regular beers, making them a better option. I'll get back to the beer here in a second. But light beers, they have less carbs. They have less sugar in them. So they're a better option, but not a 6-pack, right? It's just not going to happen. It just can't happen for you. But having a beer, okay. Distilled spirits. Now, vodka, whiskey, gin, rum, tequila don't actually contain carbs. And if you've ever been on the Atkins diet, right, like I was back in the day. So I was on Atkins at one point, and I was also like to drink. So it was like rum and Diet Coke, boom, all day. Let's go, right? That was no carb. Let's rock and roll. Again, you want to be drinking in moderation though. But vodka, whiskey, gin, rum, tequila, they don't have carbs. But you got to be careful what you mix them with. So what's a good drink? Whiskey and ice. So you get a good whiskey and you put it on the ice cubes on the rocks, I guess is what they call it. Man, I seem like it's so lame. I used to be so much fun, but now I'm just away from it. But a good whiskey, that's good. Rum and like Diet Coke, it's a great option. Vodka and whatever, like sparkling water, like a LaCroix with some vodka in it. That's a great option, right? Probably refreshing too. Low carb cocktails, vodka soda, whiskey on the rocks. Oh, I just said all those. Better than sugary drinks like margaritas and pina coladas. So, okay. And champagne or sparkling wine. All right. Brut varieties. I didn't know that Brut was a variety of wine. I don't know anything about wine. But champagne and sparkling wine tend to be lower in sugar compared to sweeter sparkling wine. So champagne is pretty good for you. Now, here's something that I found out that was really weird. And it might not work for you, but it did for me. So I don't drink. I was on vacation with my wife in Virginia, and it was my 50th birthday. I went to Virginia for vacation. Don't ask me why, but it was awesome. Anyway, and we're at this brewery, and they had a whole bunch of non-alcoholic beers, which I had like one or two. I had a craving for a red beer. Ever have a red beer? That's a tomato juice and beer put together. It's a northern thing. If you're in Minnesota, you're like, what's up? I live off of red beers. I get it. So anyway, but I wanted a beer. But beforehand, I was like, I wonder if that's bad for my diabetes. I've only been a type 2 diabetic for like 3 months. And I was like, am I going to blow up everything? So I did, just Google searched it like everyone Google searches everything. And I believe that it said that not only non-alcoholic beer can be lower your blood sugar. It's like, what? But I believe that it said more hoppy varieties. So here's what I found with a non-alcoholic beer, right? It does have some carbs in it. It does. Don't get me wrong. But like really hoppy varieties of non-alcoholic beer have been, I can easily tolerate those. I tried like the the non-alcoholic like Budweiser. Oh my gosh, I had to get rid of it because I shot my levels way up. So what I've kind of found is those American beers are not as good, right? But an IPA, super hoppy, those are the ones that I kind of lean in on, and they tend to have good results for me. And my blood sugar might go up a little bit, but at that time, and it was probably random, but I had that beer when I was in Virginia, the very first one, and my blood sugar got low. We had to go eat. I mean, I was really paranoid back then. I was like 72. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to go eat something. I'm going to pass out. And, but yeah, so every now and then. So I have about one every couple months. So you can drink. In conclude, wrapping it all up. Yes, you can drink if you're type 2 diabetic. Make the good choices. Lean on those dry wines, light beers, distilled spirits. Careful what you mix them with and keep it in moderation. I hope your A1C is down. And I hope you have an awesome day. I really do.